Okay, so some people have asked to follow up on the equipment film, which I said I would, with just a little short thing about the actual car and it being fitted out. So we'll just try and move back here a bit so you can see the whole thing in full. Yay, car. And let's get it into some little details here. Yeah, and here's the star of the show. As always, is the camera. Oh, it's got a bit too much glare there. Yeah, the camera. Now the mount didn't end up actually coming to suction it to the windscreen as I've done in the previous films. So I had to improvise with a couple of blocks of wood and a bolt and some screws and a quick release, which I've wanted for a while actually. In the previous two films I could have done with a quick release. It lets you easily take it off and whack it on the tripod for an external shot or something like that without having to cause a big ruckus. I would like something which was actually like so I could adjust it, so you could like point out the side, because you know when you watch the film there's actually things you don't see, like things that are off to the side that never really got into the view of the camera itself, and potentially, I mean, I don't know if I can make one small enough, get one small enough, but a motorized head, so it actually as it's time lapsing or something to that effect. So yeah, here's the timer. Come on out, and normally this would be plugged in here, which goes through to the computer, which I'll show you all that in a sec. A bit of gaffer tape and things holding the whole thing in. There is a little bit of shake, and I'll try and see how bad that is. It hasn't looked too bad so far, but some of the more rougher roads it might, so I might need to do some image stabilization just to make that a little bit more palatable. Here's the battery, the AC power, which runs down, and we've got that taped in down here, if we can see that. Well, it was taped in, it's no longer taped in. And use the iPad here, mounted in. A number of things didn't quite work as I intended. It's got like a little suction sort of mount behind there, but it didn't hold it at all. And so yeah, it had to be gaffed in to it. And instead of actually attaching the iPad, I attached a protective case for it, and that's where you can see the little Klingo or something it's called, sticky thing behind there, which yeah, it hasn't even stuck. Yeah, all the tape that's holding that in place, and that actually held the whole way, especially once we'd gaffed it, and yeah, that was really good. Over this side was a little mount for the iPhone. Originally I'd wanted to put that on the steering wheel, but the rotations of the steering wheel were too many, and so the cable would have just got tangled up in it, so I kept that out of there. And here's the charger for where that went, and ran that down the side. Ran it down the side there, under the floor, into the back here. I don't know if you can actually, yeah, just there. So it's out of the way. And that was most of that story. Keeping the window clean and things, of course, was really important. And one thing I've learned along this journey, and unfortunately there'll be a few instances along the film where focus gets lost a bit. You know, as with the shuttering, this cheaper kind of lens, the head of it actually, well, you can really see that anyway, but it jiggles, and actually at times lost focus, and I didn't know that it had. So yeah, I'm actually going to look for a better lens, and really just what I want in that lens is something which the focal ring holds its focus better. Yeah, that's that there. And the back here, if we can see, well, yeah, so I just slept last night, so just get this stuff out the way. In the back here is the laptop. Now, the laptop, it actually uses the way that these work. You know, you'd have to know if your own particular laptop, but your MacBook Pros and things all work like this. They suck in air through the top, and then they use the bottom surface as a cooling, as a heat sink, and there's vents at the back. So yeah, it's been mounted on a plastic box, and it's actually got, which I'll show you, I've actually used stoppers for doors, yeah, as little feet to keep it off the plastic so that the cooling systems work properly. And all of this was actually designed also so that at the back here, that it wouldn't come up against anything and block the cooling system from operating. And also, the cloth of the seat actually isn't going to cool it very well at all. So I took that out. And there's the cables. We've got one going to the camera and the two charging systems. Down here is the little card reader. So use that for external shots, and sometimes when I just wanted to quickly just drive and shoot and didn't have time, and thought no, we just got to go, and yeah, that worked really well. That card, as I said, the faster card, did not miss a beat. Yeah, after about 1,000 maybe to 1,500 frames, it did actually start to choke a little bit. But I mean, shooting at a frame a second for 1,500 frames, and then it has a little bit of a, oops, I've got a bit of recording to do. Well, that's excusable. We can't blame it for having that kind of limitation. Tripods saw a lot of good use. Some of that will need some shake reduction, some stabilization in the final thing. Here was the power board, a bit of strain relief here, and some cables. And I actually stored all of the power packs in the back of the seat here, which turned out to be a really handy little location for trying to manage all of these cables. Also along for the journey was the battery power adapter. Over there you can see the remnants of the inverter. When I left Alice, it was beautifully attached, and yeah, well anyway. So I had to kind of have that. I couldn't leave that also on fabric and things like that. It generates a lot of heat and things. We'll go around the other side. Let's come around the back. All the stuff in the back, none of which had anything really to do with the filmmaking, but had to do with water and general survival kind of things, and if the car broke or that. Down here is the marine plug that I mentioned. Very strong connection. Yeah, and that runs under here, along here, and up. I don't know if we can see, but it actually goes through the firewall. There's a place through the firewall. Oh yes, I was in a place, and the only thing in the town I could eat was the chicken. Everything else was closed or had dairy. I didn't actually even eat most of it. And this saw play in two particular times. It's Nathan kindly gifted this to the project, and I'm actually going to have to leave it in Perth, unfortunately, because it's a lead acid cell. So on a plane under pressure, it'll just kind of explode. So I'm going to find out how much that cost to ship over to get that back to Alice. Yeah, that was really fantastic. Hey, it shot helped me shoot a sunrise where I hadn't been able to charge up the camera's battery. And without even being fully charged, it shot minute-long exposures all night with the car off to do a star sequence straight through to sunrise and continuing on. That worked really well. There were a few little glitches with the with power. Nothing that is a major issue, but I can't quite see it. But yeah. I'm not sure what, but I think sometimes maybe the voltage or the wattage coming from the cigarette lighter wasn't reliable. Ray Tabrick did say to me they move around, it's not a very strong connection, and so you get some variation and things like that. And I think that that sometimes affected it, and the camera just stopped operating. So yeah, that was that. And that's kind of the most of it. As I say, the blocks of wood weren't too bad. And, to be honest, it was very fortunate because, it's the design of the car. It has this flat surface, which let me put the blocks of wood on there and bolt them together and so forth. A lot of cars have actually got a sloping surface. Well, you'd have to really custom design something. It was easier being able to use the controls the right way up, where the suction mount, it has the camera upside down. Also then I don't have to do any post rotating of frames and all of that kind of business. They're kind of ready to go actually, and there's been a few surprises along the way. I've actually already been previewing the footage in real time, much to my surprise. And I think a new workflow is about to come out of that, which will make the filmmaking, the editing component, a lot quicker. So yeah, that was the most of it. On this particular journey, the car was, to be honest, you did a brave little job, car, but you were too small. You're too small to drive 5,000 Ks. Like, that's yeah, a little bit rough on you, I reckon. I mean, I was only doing 100. You know, occasionally down a hill it went 110, but even at 100, it was kind of pushing you a bit hard. And after 5,000 Ks, this is not really about the filming so much, but just about general travel. You know, there's some tread worn off those tyres. 5,000 Ks is a long way. You know, this little car's going to need a little bit of care from Marie and that. And there was something I did not notice until we were along in the journey, and it was real awkward. You know, and that actually was that there was a bolt sheared off of the thing. That kind of stuff and tyre pressure and things are really critical. I can actually see, I don't know if you can see it in the video here, but I have a feeling that both this one here and this one here, they've just actually become a little bit bent from the strain of pulling from this, and so that was not quite so safe, hey, but we actually didn't have the money along the way to be able to sort, all the time really, to be able to sort that out, so I just sort of drove with consideration of this tyre, or this wheel system here, and you tended to like favour the other ones for going over a bump or something more than this one, yeah. And then your other basic things is like, yeah, you know, just other basic driving things. Keep your oil up, make sure you've got your fluids with you so you can deal with all of that. So here she is, right? Little beast. She just did a big trip for her, and she's been a brave little car. Thank you for watching this. It won't be able to post this up today. It's going to take a little while. And oh yeah, one thing I realised along the way was I actually should have got some magnetic plates made up to stick on the side of the car with my logo and other information on it. There's a sort of a promo as you're driving along, but anyway, that's for next time. So on the last afternoon when no one really even saw it, I wrote Alice to Perth, sci-tv.com, and just for my personal amusement, that was the dot anyway, but I'm a nerd, I guess. So yeah, so now I'm going to dispose of some of this. I can't take everything back, and hopefully I can sell it or something, some of these bits, and I've done this now because I'm about to rip the car apart. Well, not the car, all the equipment in it, and pack it all down. As I said on my post, the last post there regarding it, this film doesn't include Perth. That's for another film. This one's about the southwest and the winds. And those winds, they were fierce. A little car like this also, it was, I mean, heck, I saw semi-trailers like from the wind. Those winds really affected fuel efficiency and buffeted the car around, you know. Be mindful of that if you're being buffeted around. You know, we dropped like 10 Ks and stuff like that per hour just to keep it safe from time to time when the winds got a bit strong. Yeah. Thank you very much again. This is Cy from Cy TV. Doing more mad things, I guess.